Namaste everyone. Welcome back to online classes. So in the previous class, we are discussing about Ohm's law. Statement is the current flowing through a conductor is directly proportional to the voltage applied across the conductor, provided the physical conditions like the temperature, pressure are kept constant or remains the same. Resistance R by the statement of Ohm's law, using Ohm's law, resistance R can be calculated using these two, voltage and current. You just take the ratio of voltage applied across the ends of the conductor and to the current flowing through it. So take the ratio of those two. You are calculating what is called resistance of the conductor. So whose unit is ohm. So resistance of a conductor can be defined as the opposition offered by the conductor to the flow of current. Okay. So if I plot a graph for voltage and current, so VI characteristic, so you are getting a straight line, because by the definition of Ohm's law, voltage across the conductor is directly proportional to current flowing through it. We should get a straight line. Okay. So if I calculate the slope of the graph, say so tan theta, the slope, right, which is equal to the resistance V by I. So using graph, I can calculate the resistance by taking the slope of the graph. Okay, so unit of resistance is ohm. Say, as I told, this definition for resistance serves as expression for resistance for any material, whether the material is ohmic or non-ohmic. So this serves as the definition for resistance. It is just V, the voltage to the current ratio. In case of conductor, V is directly proportional to I. In case of ohmic material, in case of non-ohmic material, the materials which do not obey Ohm's law are called non-ohmic materials, for which also this is the definition of resistance itself, V by I, but Ohm's law is not valid for non-ohmic materials. For ohmic materials, Ohm's law is valid, which obey Ohm's law. Okay, so if I calculate now the conductance, what is the conductance of the conductor? So conductance is G, which is inverse of resistance 1 by R. Okay, inverse of resistance is called conductance, I by V. Okay, if I calculate I by V, inverse of slope, then we are defining what is called conductance G, whose unit is ohm inverse or mho, MHO. Okay, or Simon, capital S. Okay, so this is about the resistance of the conductor. Okay, right. So if now V is equal to 1 volt and I is equal to 1 ampere, then R becomes resistance of the conductor. So 1 volt by 1 ampere, that is equal to 1 volt per ampere or 1 ohm. So resistance of the conductor is said to be 1 ohm if 1 ampere current flows through it, if it is applied a potential difference of 1 volt. Okay, under the application of potential difference of 1 volt, if 1 ampere of current flows through the conductor, then resistance of the conductor is said to be 1 ohm. Okay, so next we discuss the limitations of Ohm's law. See, Ohm's law is applicable for a very large class of materials, but still there do exist certain materials for which the proportionality of V and I fails. Okay, so we discuss the limitations of Ohm's law. So in which cases Ohm's law is not applicable, or for which materials Ohm's law is not applicable. Okay, for conductors it is applicable, but under certain conditions. See, first limitation, for good conductors or metallic conductors, beyond a certain value of current, the voltage applied across the conductor V will not remain proportional to I. Beyond certain value of current, the voltage applied across the conductor will not remain proportional to I. Okay, because as you increase the current, resistance changes, because as you increase the current, the conductor gets heated. So due to this heating effect, resistance of the conductor changes. So the proportionality of V and I fails. V will not remain, that is the voltage applied across the conductor will not remain proportional to I. Say if I plot a graph by taking voltage along a y-axis and current along x-axis, I should get a straight line for a conductor, correct? Right? So that is the ideal case for a conductor. It is a straight line. Okay, so this is the linear graph which obeying Ohm's law. Okay, so but in practical, so gone increasing the value of current. Okay, if I is continuously increased now, so V will increase, the voltage across the conductor increase, or if you increase the value of voltage, the current through the conductor increases. As I continuously increased, heating effect is produced. Okay, so conductor gets heated, so therefore its resistance changes. Due to that change in resistance, the voltage will not remain proportional to I. Okay, so beyond a certain value of current, say for example in this particular graph, say from here, beyond a certain value of current, if you increase the current further, so due to heating effect produced in the conductor, its resistance changes. So V, the voltage will not remain proportional to I. So the graph deviates from its actual behavior. I mean the ideal graph. Okay, it deviates from the ideal graph. So this is one limitation of Ohm's law, that is for good conductors. Okay, metallic conductors. Okay, for a certain value of current, at Ohm's law holds. Okay, beyond a particular value of current, it does not hold. Okay, so next one is for certain materials, the relationship between V and I depends on sign of V. This is the second limitation. For certain materials, the relationship between voltage and current, or V and I, depends on sign of V, means polarity of applied voltage. Say in case of conductor, say this is a conductor in the form of a cylinder. Say this is applied voltage. This is the polarity of applied voltage. This end is positive, this end is negative because it is connected now. Positive terminal of the battery, and this is connected. This end is connected to the negative terminal of the supply or cell. So now current flows through it, and it obeys Ohm's law. So if I change the polarity now, reverse the polarity, this becomes negative, this becomes positive, direction of current reverses, but still Ohm's law holds good. So V will be V is directly proportional to I. Okay, so but in some materials, the relationship between V and I depends on sign of V. For a conductor, it is not applicable, because if you, even though you are reversing the polarity of applied voltage, the same amount of current flows for a given value of voltage. Okay, so reversing the direction of voltage does not change the value of current. But certain materials, for certain materials, the relationship between V and I depends on sign of V, means I depends on the polarity of applied voltage, the direction of applied voltage. Say in case of semiconductors, so you studied the BI characteristics of semiconductor diode. Okay, in case of semiconductor diode, say for a silicon diode, say this is the voltage, forward bias voltage. This is forward bias current, which is in terms of milliampere, high value of current flows, right? For a small voltage, there is no current, and if you increase the voltage, say 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, so current slowly rises. After the new voltage, current rises sharply, right? So for silicon diode, this is somewhat 0.6 to 0.7 volt. Okay, so current in terms of milliampere. Now just reverse the polarity. Say this is the diode. Is now forward biased condition. Okay, have to connect a resistor. Okay, I'll write like this. This P, this is N, this is depletion region. Now this is forward biased condition, right? Okay, so current flows through it like this. Okay, after the new voltage, current rises sharply. Now, if you reverse the polarity of voltage, keeping the magnitude of voltage fixed, say variable supply can vary the voltage now here. This is a symbol of variable voltage, variable supply. Okay, now keeping the magnitude of voltage fixed, if you just reverse the polarity of voltage, we will not get the same value of current as obtained for forward bias. Say in case of reverse bias condition, see current is due to minority charge carriers and it is very small. This is reverse bias voltage increasing this particular direction. So this is reverse bias current, which is in terms of microampere because it is due to minority charge carriers. It is very small. After the breakdown voltage for silicon, it is somewhat 60 to 70 volt. Here 0.6 volt. This is 60 to 70 volt. Okay, current rises sharply, and if that current is not limited, diode gets permanently damaged due to high value of current or due to heating effect produced. Okay, so here say this is for 0.6 volt, you are getting certain value of voltage. You just reverse the polarity of voltage now. This is the case, reverse bias. It is reverse bias. Fix the value of voltage to say 0.6 volt. Okay, you are not changing the magnitude of voltage, but you are just changing the polarity. You are reversing the polarity. you are not getting the same value of current. Here current will be in terms of milliampere, this will be in terms of microampere. So for some materials, relationship between V and I depends on sign of V. Okay, right? So keeping the magnitude fixed, if you change the polarity, for the same magnitude of voltage, you are not getting the same value of current as obtained for forward bias. Okay, so that is another limitation. Okay, right. Here Ohm's law is not applicable. Okay, Ohm's law does not hold. Okay. So third one, for certain materials, the relationship between V and I is not unique. Okay, for certain materials, the relationship between V and I is not unique. Means for a given value of voltage, you cannot say this is the value of current, or for a given value of current, you cannot say this is the value of voltage. Okay, so for example, in case of gallium arsenide, which is a semiconductor. Okay, so if I study its VI characteristic curve, so this is the current, this is the voltage. Okay, so now you are getting its VI characteristic curve somewhat like this. Okay, so for a given value of current, now say this is the value of current, so this is the value of voltage, 1 voltage here. For the same value of current, you are getting another value of voltage, because you are, see, go on increasing the value of your voltage, you are continuously increasing the value of voltage, current increases, you are getting certain value of current here for this particular voltage, and go on increasing the voltage beyond this particular value, current reaches the maximum value and starting to decrease, here decreases, reaches minimum and again increases, right? Again current reaches to this particular value, right, for another value of voltage. So for a given value of voltage, there exists more than one value of, for a given value of current, there exists more than one value of voltage. Okay, so therefore the relationship between V and I is not unique for certain materials. So okay, so here we have taken example as gallium arsenide. Okay, here also Ohm's law is not applicable. So important limitations of Ohm's law, either it can be asked for 2 marks or 3 marks. Okay, right, write 2 or the 3 limitations of Ohm's law. Okay, so next we discuss the factors upon which the resistance of a conductor depends. The factors upon which the resistance of a conductor depends are, the first one is the length of the conductor. Okay, the resistance of the conductor is directly proportional to its length. Second one is area of cross section of the conductor. Area of cross section of the conductor, cross sectional area it is. So R is inversely proportional to A. So third one is the temperature, and the fourth one is the nature of the material. So these are the factors on which the resistance of a conductor does depend on. Okay. So in these four factors, we discuss about these two now. So length and area. How does the resistance of a conductor depend on the length and area of cross section? Okay. So it depends on nature of the material used. What is the nature of the material of the conductor? It depends on that. Are also dependent on the temperature. Okay. If we change, as the temperature changes, the resistance of a conductor changes. Okay, so if we discuss the first two factors, the first one is the length. As I told, R is directly proportional to the length of the conductor. Resistance of a conductor is directly proportional to its length. Means what? As the length of the conductor is increased, its resistance increases. So consider a conductor in the form of a rectangular slab. Say the length of the conductor is L and area of cross section is say A. Say if we apply a potential difference of V across ends of the conductor, the current flowing through it, let it be I. Okay, so connected to a supply or battery or cell. Okay, so current flowing through the conductor is I. So now what is the resistance of the conductor? Therefore, R is equal to, now we have, according to Ohm's law, is a ratio of potential difference applied across the ends of the conductor to the current flowing through it. So therefore, V by I. So now if I consider another identical conductor, means that conductor is of same material, okay, and area of cross section is A only, length is L only. Consider another identical conductor which is joined in series with this particular conductor, the first conductor. Okay, so this is another conductor. Its length is L. Its length is also L. I told it is identical conductor to this particular conductor. Area of cross section is say. Say if I consider this conductor separately, if I apply a potential difference of V, so current flowing through it is I only, right? Now if I join these two conductors, I have to apply a potential difference of 2V to maintain the current of I, right? Because now it is joined, okay? So you have considered another identical conductor and you joined that conductor to the first conductor in series. So now you have to apply potential difference of 2V across these two ends of the conductors, right, to maintain a current of I. Now what is the resistance of the combination? So resistance of the combination is RC, combination of these two conductors, which is equal to the applied potential difference is 2V, total potential. So that you studied in the capacitors, right? So net potential V is equal to V1 plus V2. So potential difference is added, V plus V here. So that is equal to 2V, total potential difference. What is the current flowing through the combination? That is I, right? So therefore, 2 into V by I is R. So resistance gets doubled if the length is increased to 2L. When it is made twice, resistance of the conductor becomes 2R. Okay, so therefore I can conclude, if the length of the conductor is doubled, then resistance of the conductor gets doubled. If the length of the conductor doubled, then resistance doubles. Okay, so therefore, so R is directly proportional to L. So as L increases, length of the conductor is increased, the resistance of the conductor increases, and if the length of the conductor is doubled, resistance doubles. Okay, right. So that is about the resistance related to the length of the conductor. So now we talk about the area of cross section. As I told, area of cross section is inversely proportional to, resistance of the conductor is inversely proportional to area of cross section, right? So consider the conductor in the form of rectangular slab. So the potential difference applied across ends of the conductor is V, current flowing through it is I, area of cross section is E. L is the length of the conductor. So now according to Ohm's law, resistance of the conductor is V by I, right? Okay, so now if that conductor is cut along its length such that its area of cross section becomes half, means A by 2, A by 2. Okay, it is cut in this way, so that area of cross section is becoming A by 2. Area of each section of the conductor, piece of the conductor, is becoming now A by 2, A by 2, half of the initial value. So now what happens to the resistance of each section? Let it be R1 is the resistance of this particular section. What about the current flowing? Initial current is I, right? Total current is I. Now since it is cut into two pieces, two equal pieces, current becomes half of the initial value, right? I by 2, I by 2, because total current is I. Okay, so resistance of each section is R1, resistance of this portion is R1, resistance of this portion is also R1. So therefore resistance of each part of the conductor, okay, R1, is, the potential difference is V, but current is becoming half, right? So therefore this is 2 times V by I, but V by I is R, this is 2R. So you are decreasing the area of cross section, thereby you are increasing the resistance. So I can conclude now, if the area of cross section of the conductor is made half, then the resistance of the conductor gets doubled. If the area of cross section of the conductor is made half, then resistance doubles. Okay, right? When it is halved, area of cross section is becoming now A by 2, so resistance gets doubled. I can see R is inversely proportional to A. If you decrease the area, resistance increases, or I can say if you increase the area, resistance decreases. So in the previous case, if you increase the length, resistance increases. Here, if you increase the area of cross section is increased, resistance decreases, inversely related, right? Okay, so therefore now we can conclude, since R is directly proportional to L and R is inversely proportional to area of cross section, we can write so R is equal to rho L by, R is directly proportional to L by A, right? So can be converted into equality. R is equal to, by introducing some constant, proportionality is converted into equality. by introducing always a constant rho into L by A. So this is expression for resistance of the conductor in terms of the length of the conductor and area of cross section. Okay, where rho is called the resistivity of the material of the conductor. Rho is called resistivity of the material of the conductor. Okay, right. If L is equal to 1 meter and area of cross section is 1 meter square, unit length and unit cross sectional area. If I consider a conductor of unit length and unit cross sectional area, then R is equal to rho. Now, how do you define the resistivity? So, resistivity of the material of the conductor is the resistance or the opposition offered by the conductor to the flow of current of unit length and unit cross section area. The length of the conductor must be unity and area of cross section is also unity. So, resistivity of the material of the conductor is a resistance offered by the conductor of unit length and unit cross section area to the flow of current. So, what is unit? SI unit. See, R is in terms of ohm. Okay, so I want to find out the SI unit of rho. L is in terms of meter, A square in terms of meter square. So, therefore, rho is in terms of ohm meter. So, therefore, unit is ohm meter. Not ohm per meter, it is ohm meter. Okay, so now I can define a term called conductivity. See, while defining the term resistance, we also defined a term called conductance. So here we have the resistivity, so you have another term called conductivity, right? So it is a sigma, which is inverse of resistivity. See, resistivity is not dependent on the length and area because it is the resistance defined per unit length and per unit cross section area of the conductor. So therefore, rho or sigma, resistivity or conductivity, because conductivity is 1 over sigma, they are not dependent on the length of the conductor and area of cross section, okay, or the voltage applied or the current flowing. It is dependent on the nature of the material used, the temperature, okay, and the pressure. Okay, so resistivity or the conductivity, they depend on those three factors: the nature of the material of the conductor used, the temperature, and the pressure. Okay, right. So what is unit? It is per ohm per meter, or it is mho per meter, right? Or it is Simon per meter. Okay, so that is unit of resistivity. Okay, so this is important expression. So R is equal to rho L by A, the resistance of the conductor in terms of the length length of the conductor and area of cross section. Rho is the resistivity of the material of the conductor. Definition of resistivity, definition of conductivity, the units. Okay.